meters of fabric you need to buy for your garment. So we'll use this little sort of coach jacket that I made as an example. So you've made your toile, and now you want to make it in your real fabric. So the first step of that would be to work out what you want your fabric to be. So let's say that I'm looking on this website, what do I want? I'm making a jacket, so I probably want something, I don't want anything stretch. I kind of want something a bit heavyweight. Like normally the kind of jacket that I'd be making might be made out of something like a denim or a heavy cotton twill. So maybe I choose a denim with stripes, which I've already had a look at here. A striped cotton twill. So I click on it. So I'm on the website for the fabric. Also, this is something that can also get a bit confusing. Sometimes they tell you this one is telling you the price per meter, so that's good. That'll help you to work it out. But sometimes it's already set on like fat quarter or 25 centimeters or 10 centimeters to sort of try and trick you a little bit. But this is how much it is per meter. So the information that you need to know is how wide is the fabric, and you'll find that on this page just down here. You can see it in details and width. Sometimes on different websites with fabric on them, you'll have to go specifically to like property details, material details, or there'll be some kind of like detail section. But what you're looking for is this bit over here, which says the width is 140. So now you know the width of the fabric, and that's a set width, and then you need to work out what length of that fabric you want to buy, and you order that in the meters or in the half meters. So my width is 140. So generally, this is not the case for everything, but generally garments that you make are quite often symmetrical. So when you're cutting things out in your fabric, you would fold your fabric in half, selvedge to selvedge, which is long ways, how would I say that? That is down the length of the fabric. So the selvedge is the like true edge of the fabric, not the cut edge. So so when you're working out how many meters of fabric you need to buy, a good start point is imagining folding the fabric in half, because that would be how you'd be cutting it out. So I have a little image that can show that a little better than what I'm saying. Where are you? Here we go. So here you can see that on this little illustration, they've folded the fabric in half. You'd put your different pieces on, and when you cut those out, you'd be cutting out pairs of that fabric. The grain line is parallel to the selvedge, and this piece here, which is cut on the fold, has been laid right up against the fold. So when it is cut out, it will be this full shape here. So that is why when I'm thinking about how many meters I need, I'm going to imagine that I've folded the fabric that I'm going to buy, which is 140 centimeters wide, in half. So I'm thinking about the fabric as being 70 centimeters, which is half of 140 centimeters wide. So you can see this again. This is another, I'm talking about folding in half, but because most things, or on my pattern anyway, most things are mirrored or in pairs, I would be cutting it out of doubled over fabric. So on the floor, I know that the width of my fabric is 140 centimeters, but because I'm doing pairs, I'm doing it in a half of that, because I will be making doubles. So the length across the top of here is 70. The length across the top of here will be whatever half of your fabric that you're going to buy is. Fabric is usually about 140, 150, but double check, because some things are half of this, some things are narrower than this, and then you won't get what you want out of that. Or you'll have to plan, when you're planning this stage, you need to be accurate with the width. So on the floor, I've got masking tape, and I've laid out 70 centimeters, and I'm laying down more masking tape at a 90-degree angle to that. That's 70, that's half of my fabric that I'm going to buy, half of the width of the fabric I'm going to buy. That's me just further proving that it's 70. And then down the bottom, I'm checking again that it's 70, because if you just take your masking tape and try and draw a perpendicular line, or try and draw a line parallel to another masking tape line, you can make it wider or you can make it narrower. So just double check that it stayed 70 all the way down. 70-ish. Okay, so then I lay out my patterns in this space. So for my jacket, I know that this back piece, so I'm imagining that this is the fold line. This is the folded line of my imaginary fabric. And this is where the selve edge would be, and underneath that would be the other selve edge. So I know that I need 2 sleeves, so I'd be cutting out a pair of these. I know I need 2 fronts, so I'd be cutting out a pair of these. I need a top part of the collar and a under part of the collar, so I'm cutting out a pair of these. These are things like little straps, cuffs, and that's the a sort of waistband hem. The back, this pattern could have been cut differently. I could have had half of this and it would have said cut on the fold. So that would go right up to the edge of this fold. So when I cut it out, it'll be this full shape. So I lay it all out and I make sure nothing's overlapping. Everything has enough space. Make sure you've got all of your seam allowances on there. And I'm laying it out so that everything also, all the grain lines are parallel to the selve edge. So don't put your sleeve on sideways. Everything needs to be running vertically in the same length as the same way as the selve edge. You may be cutting some things on the bias, in which case you'd be doing them at a 45-degree angle to the selve edge, but you should mark that on your pattern. Mark on the bias sort of cross. Make sure that if you're going to have facings, or depending on how you're going to finish your jacket or dress, that you've considered those patterns. So you might want to have already worked out what your facings are going to be, or like the your collar pieces, any extra pieces that are going to be made out of the same fabric. Think about that and make sure that they're included on this estimation. If you're doing anything with pattern, then you would have to be even more careful and considerate to make sure that you're getting patterns that are going to match up. And if anybody's doing patterns and that need to match up, we can have a separate conversation. I can double check everything because that is quite difficult. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, if you're doing anything with stretch, check which way the fabric is going to stretch and which way you want your garment to stretch. So generally you'll want things to stretch width-wise. So you want to check that your fabric stretches the most width-wise. Otherwise, then maybe you could change your patterns around so that they're getting the maximum amount of stretch for where you want the maximum amount of stretch to be on your garment. But anyway, this is kind of how it looks. So I fitted it all. I fitted my whole thing on here within my 70 centimeter rectangle. This is me just, I guess, further explaining that middle point is right on the edge. That's right on the fold of where the fabric would be folded over. Yep, seems to be fitting. Right. So then you measure from the top right down to where your pattern pieces stop needing to be. So you know that you need this length of fabric to fit on all of your pattern pieces. Here, so mine was a little bit longer than what my tape measure was. So I think it came to something that's like 150, something like 150 add, let's say 20. So 170. I'd need a length of fabric that was 170 meters, 170 centimeters long. So that is, I'd go for 2 meters. So then I've got a little bit extra. You can get things in half meters, but I mean, I'm not going to get 1.5 meters because I need 170. I can't squeeze it out of 1.5 meters. I need 2 meters. So I would be ordering 2 meters of fabric and my pattern pieces would fit inside of that. Okay.